After the great disappointment, many people gave up their hope that Jesus was ever coming. These people joined with the scoffers and laughed at the people who still believed that Jesus was coming again. But those who remained faithful continued to pray and search the Bible, and they found many new and wonderful things in God's Word to comfort them. They were disappointed, but they were not discouraged. They felt that God was leading them to search the Bible more. About 2 months after the disappointment, Ellen was visiting in the home of Mrs. Elizabeth Haynes. Ellen was 17 years old at this time and was still in bad health. Her throat was so bad that she could hardly speak above a whisper. The doctor said that she might live only a short time longer. Ellen, Mrs. Haynes, and 3 other women had met together in Mrs. Haynes' home to study and pray. After all the other women had prayed, Ellen started praying in a whisper. Suddenly, the power of God was felt by all in the room. In a moment, Ellen stopped praying and remained silent. Ellen, are you ill?" one of the women asked. There was no answer. Has she fainted? Or is she... No, they could not believe that Ellen was dead. Anxiously, the 4 women bent over Ellen to see what might be wrong with her. Someone whispered, "She's not breathing." After a few minutes, someone said, "I feel her pulse beating." "Yes, there are signs of life," one woman added. "Her eyes are open, but she doesn't seem to see us." The 4 women waited, wondered, and prayed. But they did not need to worry. Ellen was completely under God's control. Ellen did not see or hear the women in the room. She was listening to the words of an angel who was speaking to her, and she was looking at someone that was passing before her eyes like a great moving picture. Ellen was having a heavenly vision, just as Daniel had when he saw all those things in the 2300-year prophecy that the angel had explained to him. God has often had special messengers on this earth. The Bible calls them prophets. We have God's own promise in Numbers 12:6 that says, "If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision." He sends an angel to tell the prophet, or sometimes to show as a moving picture does. Sometimes he gives warnings or instruction. When the prophet is shown something by the angel, we say God has given him a vision. Then God wants the prophet to tell the vision to the ones for whom the message was given. It may be for one person or a church, or for all of God's people. God has had many prophets, and they have had visions. We have already studied about some of Daniel's visions. God gave Moses a vision when God told him to build a sanctuary. We studied about the vision John had in Revelation about the dark day and the red moon and the falling stars. There were many other men who wrote parts of the Bible. They were prophets too. After the great disappointment, Jesus was looking down in love upon the dear, sad people who had been sure he was coming on October 22, 1844, to take them out of this troubled world to the mansions in heaven. Now God had sent his angel to Ellen to assure these faithful people that he really was coming to get them, but not just yet. They must be patient and wait a little longer. In her vision, Ellen seemed to be rising higher and higher from the earth. She turned to look for the Advent people in the world, but she could not find them. Then the angel said to her, "Look again and look a little higher." Ellen looked up and saw a straight and narrow path high above the world, leading to the heavenly city beyond. The Adventist people were walking on this path. A bright light shone all along the path, lighting the feet of the travelers, so that they would not stumble. Jesus was in front of the people, leading them toward the holy city. As long as they kept their eyes on Jesus, they were safe. But some grew tired and complained that the city was too far away. Some of the people said it was not Jesus who was leading them, and they took their eyes off of him. Soon the light behind those who were doubting went out, leaving their feet in darkness, and they stumbled and fell off the path down into the dark and wicked world below. The angel explained to Ellen that the bright light represented the midnight cry. You may not understand what that means, but that was what they called the special message which God sent to warn the world that Jesus was coming again. I am sure you all remember the story that Jesus told about the 10 virgins. The 10 girls got all ready to go to the wedding. Then they took their lamps and started out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of the girls were wise and took extra oil, but 5 were foolish and careless and did not take any extra oil. But the bridegroom did not come when they expected him to come, so all the girls went to sleep. While they were sleeping, something happened. Their lights went out. But at midnight a loud cry was heard, "Behold, the bridegroom cometh! Go ye out to meet him." There was that midnight cry to wake up. The bridegroom was coming. The girls awakened. While the wise ones were quickly putting the extra oil in their lamps, the foolish ones realized that they were not ready to meet the bridegroom because they had no extra oil with them. So they went to the wise girls and asked for some oil. But the wise girls said there was not enough for all 10 lamps. Each girl had just enough for her own lamp. They suggested that the foolish girls should hurry and buy some oil. Then the wise girls quickly hurried out to meet the bridegroom. While the foolish girls went to find oil to buy, the bridegroom came. The wise girls and others who were ready went into the marriage, and the door was shut. Later, the foolish girls came back and knocked on the door, but it was too late. Jesus closed the story with a warning for everyone. "Watch therefore, for ye know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh." That means that we are not to be sleepy, unprepared Christians like the foolish girls. The lamps represent the Bible, and we are to study it carefully so we will be ready when Jesus comes. In this story, the bridegroom represents Jesus himself when he comes back again. The wise girls are like the wise people who love Jesus and keep his commandments. They are learning to be like him and are waiting for him to come again. But the foolish girls are like the foolish people who laughed at Mr. Miller and took their eyes off Jesus on the path that Ellen saw in vision. They will not be ready when Jesus comes again. In this first vision, Ellen saw Jesus coming back again with all the bright and shining angels. She heard him call to the good people who had died and were sleeping in their graves, "Awake! Awake, all ye that sleep in the dust, and arise!" The living good people were changed, and all were caught up by the angels to meet Jesus in the air. And then they began the wonderful journey up through the sky and the starry heavens, on until they reached the holy city. Inside the city, Ellen saw the Garden of Eden and God's beautiful throne with the river of life flowing from it. She saw the tree of life that has a different kind of fruit every month. The streets were beautiful, shining gold. Then the vision ended, and Ellen realized that she was still in the home of Mrs. Haynes, her good friend. She saw her 4 friends and the room where they were having worship. The angel was gone. The bright light had gone. Oh, how dark this world looked to Ellen now. She had seen a better place. Ellen told her friends what the angel had shown her. They believed that God had chosen this way after the great disappointment to comfort his people, so they would realize that Jesus was still coming and that God was still leading them. Ellen never forgot this vision of the straight and narrow path and the wonderful city. She longed to go there and stay, but God had other work for her to do. He had given her this vision to tell others to encourage them to be faithful until someday when Jesus would take them to this beautiful city.